would any of you be willing to make a graphic for this Wickedly Divine Lightwork tour? I can do it, though with everything going on, I know that I don't have the energy to right now. And if I need to later, I will. But would you like to participate in that way? If so, let me know. Comment below, send me an email, whatever you like. In any case, I am. I'm enjoying the feels, the squishes, the squishy feelings of today because I loved listening to Divine Maverick's recent video last night about I wish I could talk to you, Mama. And what was really funny is for me, it felt like she was reading what I had already been doing like the week before. And that was a new experience, like listening to someone else reading something that sounded like stuff I already did. But I decided I wanted to do more. And that's when I realized, too, that it was more. And so I can't be on here too long this time. And plus, I'm sure that you guys don't want 2 hour long videos the whole time. But I am working at a couple of diners over here where I am in Idaho, so I can enjoy the light work here. There's a couple of people that I don't know. Everybody seems to want me to stay. It's so funny. So, but that way it enables me to stay a little bit while Spirit works out some stuff about the rest of the tour. And another challenge was one is like most things are taken care of at home, or that like they need to work themselves out without me there. That's the best way I could say that. And I'll get myself into trouble if I go back there too soon. um, but the question was, how do I get my parents to trust me and support me in the sense of like I'm using one of their cars? And I'm safest in this car. I can get the best gas mileage out of it. I don't have to crowdfund to get a bunch of other money. I can stop and take care of it anywhere. I'm a mechanic too, so I can work on most of the things on it. And it reminds me of my dad, which always reminds me how adorably annoying he is in like I just saw 2:22 on the clock too. In like making sure that you check the oil, like obnoxious level, check the oil, check the tires, this and that. But I know it's love, right? You know, and now as I'm out, I remember those things. And it's funny being at home with my neurodivergence, I wouldn't remember until he'd say something, and now it's in my head about as often as he reminded me of it. In any case, I I had an interesting experience last night and this morning because I went past a little bit past my boundary on how long I could work because I have osteoarthritis. I know some of you have been following along, saw me go through that during the Great Conjunction when they thought they were going to do spine surgery and stuff. And by the end of like it was only 6 hours. You know, my limit was 5. That's what I said I could do, and we had to go 6. And even with breaks, I was starting to drop things. I was having a hard time standing. You know, just the joints were not going well, and I cried because even my own parents and a lot of people like I'm already neurodivergent. I don't fit in with the typical norms very well, and I don't like being disrespected, and a lot of jobs are ones where people have horrible boundaries and they let themselves get disrespected. And I grew up watching my mom do that and crying almost every night while she tried to take care of me, my dad, who was an alcoholic at the time, her sisters, pretty much everybody. I never wanted to do that. And then on the other side of that, like whereas I already had trouble with that before and had a lot of people acting like I just wasn't trying hard enough or was lazy or that, you know, my businesses wouldn't do it. Now on the other side, I can't do those labor jobs anymore. I used to work construction, steel worker, framing, painting, you name it. And I also I've done a lot of restaurant stuff, banquet stuff, fast food, private parties, bartending, all that, you name it. I can't do that stuff anymore. And that's what everybody around has been looking at as like the factor of can she succeed? And that's kind of part of this journey is like whatever I succeed at, and the best things I've always succeeded at are things that are away from the norm, that aren't what everybody else is doing, and I want to follow that. And in the past, I've said things like that to my mom, but it wasn't quite there. The door wasn't open for a way to to acknowledge an elder who helped me learn that. You can speak sometimes as many times as you like about anything that you like, good or bad. But unless the door is open with spirit and with that other person, it's not that it won't be heard, but you might not get the response that you're hoping for yet until the door is open, right? And Spirit's been giving me a lot of signals that the doors are open, that like Spirit's keeping it open, the wind, the water, the fire, whatever you got, like the door's been kicked open, and even if you can get it closed, it'll open again because the door is open, right? And in any case, I talked to my mom, and we had some beautiful conversations about some stuff growing up. Some, like, she thought, so funny. Even like most of the people that know me, like she thought that I used to go out and do way more deviant things than I did. I guess I won't list it for right now. Spirit says keep it yourself, but she thought I was doing very scary things. And the funny thing is, I was, but not what she thought. I seem to have that pattern in my life. People think that I'm doing things like everybody else does, and I'm doing something related, but it's never in the same manner or doing the same exact thing, but it does have to do with the energy of the thing. Like, but she thought I was getting into deviant stuff when actually I was the one trying to manage and rescue the people doing the deviant things. And even so much so like, even as a kid, I lost friendships with people that if I had the energy and the resources, I would have probably just kept on saving them, because nobody wants to be ratted out, but I knew I couldn't, and I knew it meant their lives. And so I told their parents. And in some cases that went really good for them, and in other cases not so much. And like, it was a hard choice, because I knew that it wasn't exactly great at home either. That's why they were out doing what they were doing. But that's most of what I did. And even of all the money that I've gotten from my parents and spent, most of it has been helping others, helping my DM, helping my friends, doing things like that. It wasn't even fully for me. I tried to do some things for me, but somehow it always got wrapped up in doing stuff with somebody else. And I'm not ungrateful for that. Like, I'm not unhappy about that, but it's definitely like I wasn't like out spending stuff on deviance. I wasn't being lazy. Hello, Miss Aries. I was trying to help people. I was doing what came naturally to me. In any case, it was great to be able to talk with my mom, because like over the past 21 months, we first went through having some talks about some hard stuff. And one of the conversations that started today was that the reason she thought I was into deviance is because she was reading my diary and saw what was in there. And I said, yeah, Mom, that was one of the things that made it hard not to be mad at you growing up, because you violated my privacy a lot. And I stopped writing for many, many years. And it wasn't just you, it was the schools too, and everybody. And I started to develop this habit of don't ever write anything down, because they could use it against you later. And she said, "Oh, I didn't do that. I was just cleaning." I said, whether you tell yourself that or not, the truth is a lot of parents do that. And when you come across something in your child's room, you should not go through it. It shouldn't just be, oh, I wondered what this was, and go through it. It's not yours. That's a private space, and a lot of kids don't have private space to have their own thoughts and to think their own things and to feel the squishy feels. And I said, I can remember at least 3 times that I was so mad, but I knew I was trying to listen to you about manners and not being reactive and not having a bad temper. And so I'd write it down, and somehow you always found it, like the next day or day after, no matter how well I hid it. I don't even know how you did it, but you did it. And then you would get mad at me over the things that I wrote about. And now you're telling me about something that you read, and you didn't even, I mean, yeah, sure, you didn't tell me that's what you were mad at me about, but I can remember sometimes that like it didn't make sense why you were mad or why you thought the things that you did. And I didn't write down much in there, but I wrote a little bit, and she made her own assumptions off of what that meant versus some relationships that were going on. And she started to get defensive, acting like, and it's normal for her. That's what most people think of is when you have an honest conversation, it means conflict. It doesn't have to, and it doesn't always mean this. Mom, I love you. Let me tell you some beautiful things about you too, because I'm not gonna agree with you that it wasn't a violation, because you could have not picked it up. You could have not read past the first sentence. You could have not been cleaning my room for me. There's many things about this that are ownership on yours, but let me also tell you, I watched you do everything possible that you could for me. And I know that I've always been a troublemaker of sorts, and I've always done things differently and frustrated you, and also been amazing for you. And I watched you carry all 3 of your siblings. I watched you let my dad go for a while, separate for like 6 years, because his alcoholism got so bad, and you wanted to pull me out of there. And it was good that you did, because let me tell tell you some things about what happened when Dad was drunk that were scary, that I still hold somewhat in me, and make it hard for me not to be mad at him, and not even half the time know why. But I know why it is, because he did a number of things that were not okay, that I've never really had the chance to speak to him and feel like he heard it and owned it and just acknowledged it. I don't need a lot from it. I don't even really need that, but it's like, you were right, Mom. You were right to do that. And I know at the time I was upset because you kind of did this ice him out thing with him too, while also trying to learn a new way, because you knew I still loved my dad, and I told her thank you for adopting me, because I was adopted, and we went through and we talked about all this different stuff that I watched her do. She's so funny. She hates camping, but I loved camping. So she went with my aunts, and she got like this backpack thing ever since I was little that she could put me in, and I would bounce the whole freaking way, making it hard. She's doing hikes she doesn't like because she knew I loved it. And she'd go camping all the time with family that she didn't even like because she knew I loved it. She'd take me, we'd go on these little road trips, just calling it get lost, but they'd always manage to find some place with a hotel with a pool in it and had horseback riding nearby, because those were always my favorite things. And as I told her, I said, I love you. Like, you are beautiful. You have good and bad points, just like everybody else, just like me. And when I bring this stuff up, I'm not trying to beat up on you. I'm not trying to make you feel like you were a bad mom. It's just, this is stuff in me. And you did violate my privacy. And then I said, you know what? I also violated yours too. You got all those books about ADHD trying to help me. And I was worried that you're going to put me on drugs or figure out a way to figure out what I was up to. I took them. I took them and I read all of them and I never gave them back. And then she'd have she had coins everywhere all over the place. Not valuable ones. She's kind of a hoarder. I love her. But like, I would take those as a teenager because it felt less guilty than asking for more money. And I had wanted to go get a job at that age and she wouldn't let me, so it kind of became a thing. But I was like, look, Mom, I can sit on one side and say that I had every justification for doing what I did because you are the way you are and I am the way I am, but what I'd rather do is acknowledge that I violated your privacy. I violated your stuff. I took things from you when I didn't have to, when I could have just faced my guilt, or I could have found another way to get what I wanted, like money or whatever thing. I didn't. I chose to do the thing that was not right because it felt easier, because that's what everybody else around me was doing. And I said, you don't have to acknowledge what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to say it was a violation. I'm saying for me, that's what it was. And I totally get your justifications. I get it. You can keep them. And then we talked more about this journey. Hi, 69, babe girl. And it just kind of kept going, and we were talking about the book that I'm going to write from this stuff, and how long I'd like to, talking about being on maybe a month. And I shared with her, I put on my Facebook, so far, I think I've got like 50 people that I listed, things that I've learned from them, just beautiful reflections of things they've taught me that help me. And even one of my favorites is, he's like, who knew you had the attention span to pay attention for that long, and another friend was, I said something nice about her. She goes, great, I'm crying on the toilet, and I said, Mom, I really, this is how I've spent my time, just trying to help people, trying to be beautiful, trying to love myself, trying to have somewhat of an adventure. And I said, everything in my spirit says, go see these people. They're inviting me out to go see them. People are helping me figure out the money bits and where to stay. And there's so much beautifulness in it. And, my mom has been connecting with my oldest in ways that didn't happen before, that I wish would have happened, and it's great. And he has a friend who's, her heart's a bit in need, and mom's now, my little Joey's not there at the moment. He's with his dad, and I'm not there, so there's room, you know what I mean? There's room in her heart for a beautiful person who clearly could, enjoy a little bit more heart warmth from our family. I told her recently, because she's taken my oldest out on some adventures, and she thanked me in a post, and I said, welcome to the family. I hope you know it's a life sentence, right? My oldest, and he said, yep. And she said, I know, right? But I love that, right? And It's funny. And now at this point, the question is, do I have to, like, can mom talk to my dad? Because it's not that he needs the car. It's not that it, they're overly worried about my ability to take care of it. They're comfortable. They don't, with things. And my oldest can help them. Hello. And say my precious, right? Precious. Well, that's what it makes me think of, my precious, my ring, right? Um, but no, like, he doesn't need this, but he worries, and he's like old fashioned male ego sort of worry. So it's not, I'm worried about you and I don't want you to get hurt. It's like, oh, but you'll break something, and stuff like that. But if my mom and spirit can talk with him and help him believe in me in ways that he's not yet, or at least just take a chance, because ain't nothing else working back there in the way we were doing it anyways. And if that works out and a few other things work out, you know, we'll we'll see where the adventure goes. In any case, it reminded me of the video, the mama thing, and I know that my DM too is really missing his mom, and I know that I'm missing my boys, and I know, like, they're having their adventures. I got some news that oh, what is it? My mom got an "I love you" from my little Joey, my 10-year-old, which is so. It's like he's not a big one to say it, and everybody for a while, a few years ago, would get upset, and I said, no, you do not force an "I love you." You can say it to him if you want, but do not force or get mad at him if he doesn't say it. And it's really funny because now, when you get an "I love you" from him, oh, it feels so great, because he really means it. And when he left, he got caught up in the bratty energy. It's so funny. I feel like he was just waiting for permission too, to just have a bratty moment, because my mom, I love her. Like, let's just say that she has her own passive aggressive ways sometimes, and she'll pick fights with him. Not like a fight, but like do things that just annoy him. And she had done it like the day before, and it was weirdness because he was also not meeting his end of the bargain of keeping his space clean. And he used to have this problem before, like years ago, when he's a Leo, and when he'd get mad, he would go and, like, I talked to a counselor about it. I was like, what do you do? Like, he would upend his little, like a kid's mattress. He would, like, throw it out in the hallway with all the blankets, all the toys, all the electronics, just throw it out there. And, like, the therapist said, just let him do it. And I started to, and I released control, and he started putting stuff back on his own, and then he stopped doing it. But, like, before he left, he looked at my mom, I guess, and stuck his tongue out at her, like, and he was being kind of funny about it. But then when she went upstairs, apparently he pulled all the blankets off her bed. He tried to move the mattress, but it was too uncomfortable, and, like, threw it out in the hallway, because he was mad because she had put something in his doorway too, like another thing to his room and stuff. And, like, part of me was like, oh, why'd you do that? And the other part of me is going, I kind of get it though. Like, I kind of get it. But he was mad, and he felt like he had a moment, like, well, if we're going to be like dad, and dad just does whatever he wants, then I'll just do that too. And I told my mom, I said, I'm really sorry that he did that. That's not okay. Although it might be good, because he'll likely lean more into his dad, rather than leaning back into us. And that needs to happen right now. And she says, no, no. And I said, also, I did talk to him, and I told his dad, I was like, you need to work on this with him. And he said that he would. But, Joey was not in a place that he was ready to apologize. And I've always told them, just like I practice, you don't apologize until you mean it. Even if people get mad at however long you take to say sorry, don't do it until you mean it. Because it's not worth anything if you don't mean it when you say it. And I told her that too, and she goes, "No, that's good. That's, I don't want a fake apology." I said, "I didn't think you did," and I said, "By the way, that's how I've always been with him. That sometimes that's why it takes a little while for him to do it, but it's always better, and it always means something when I respect when he's not ready to apologize yet." And but, like, then he wasn't. It was weird. It's probably Mercury retrograde stuff, but there is some weird drama there with controlling people and phones, so I don't know. But my mom had tried to reach out to him, tried to call him, tried to do stuff like that, and we kind of assumed maybe he was still mad at her. But I had, my oldest heard that and decided to reach out and got a hold of him, and he said, no, I haven't gotten any of your calls or texts or anything. Well, my mom doesn't text, but I haven't gotten anything. And like, after they talked for a minute, like she said, I love you, Joey, and he said it back, and she called me to tell me about it. She's like, I got an I love you from Joey, you know, and I was like, that really means something. That's amazing. See, and she's like, I know, you know, and I just love my family. It's so funny, my kids. My kids are just I can't make it up, you know what I mean? I couldn't make it up if I tried. They are just this quirky and funny and just everywhere. And I look forward to whenever he starts getting back to me. I don't know. Sometimes he's passive aggressive and he'll put me on block and he means to take it off later and then forgets and then is like, why isn't she reaching out to me? I've been texting him every day, just a couple of times, and telling him I love him, I'm proud of him, and I know he's doing great things on his adventure. And I heard some things through a couple of different grapevines that actually he is really helping his dad, my DM, in ways that only he could do, especially as an unassuming like 10-year-old. Like he doesn't know better. That's part of what I tried to tell them. Like, you think that having him in there because he doesn't know better, that means you can manipulate him better, but actually the fact that he doesn't know any better on that stuff is more to his and our benefit than anything else, because he doesn't know any better. You know, like he's not trained in the ways of listen to people that are bossy. And he's a Leo with Scorpio rising. You're not going to get to boss him around, and even if he pretends to listen about it, you're not going to like that. And I've tried to keep him away from passive aggressiveness, but between his dad and grandma and even me sometimes, it's like, here, you know, I love you, and I just love him for his own little ways, and I know this will help work it out, but it reminds me of the mama stuff, you know? I know my DM is missing his mama. I just sent him a text a while ago, like, stop, get over your pride, reach out to your sister, and call your mama. Do it. Just do it. Stop being a dilly-dallyer, you darn dilly-dallyer. Call my Joey a dilly-dallyer. Anyways, I need to go do my shift of dishwashing and other random things at the little diners that I'm picking up a little work at on my way. So I love you all. I will come on. I might do a reading later. I might not. I don't know. Either way, I hope that you're all enjoying your adventures also. And remember, as Mercury and all these retrograde planets do their things, stay in a place of gratitude and it'll go much easier and more fun for you and everyone around you. I love you all. See you next time.